Today we need to talk about Jung Kook getting threatened or feeling like he did, and then we have rumors of Jung Kook spotted on a date at the movie theaters resurfacing, and then we of course have HYBE taking legal action and what that is about. So hey dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumpling, tea-spilling mug merch, and let's go. As you get to a certain point of success, or specifically fame with celebrities, a lot of people will try to sell parts of you because they know other people will buy it. So if someone who has been dying to get BTS photo cards and cannot because all the official ones have been sold out or are too expensive, you might opt for getting duplicates or these fakes because you want to have BTS photo cards on you to show your friends or even yourself that you are a supporter, and you might think this is your only option. So a lot of these not legitimate companies will try just to print these things out and sell them online. Other things like BTS pillows and shirts. So be careful when you come across BTS merch online that is sold very cheaply. It's not just the idea that by buying those items you're not supporting BTS directly, but by buying those items you're supporting a company that may be getting their material through unethical ways. I assume most of BTS products are done in-house within their company, so I assume the workers are paid properly and all that. But also by supporting these not legitimate companies, you're also supporting the way in which they harvest their materials. And oftentimes the material used to make the products are not safe. May contain lead, may contain high amounts of fiberglass, because these things are cheap, and of course a bigger company selling their products for a higher rate would not have these cheaper products in them. So safety is a big concern as well. If you can't buy every merch that BTS drops, just save up and get one thing. That doesn't make you any less of a supporter. HYBE recently was believed to have been taking legal action on some of these non-legitimate companies publishing books with BTS photos in them. Meaning this is not the company buying the books from HYBE and then selling it to you. It's them illegally making the books and then selling them to you without HYBE's knowledge. This is a fairly controversial thing to do because a lot of people get mad or would call HYBE greedy, because what is the actual harm in selling photos in book form? Especially for those armies who can't afford the real thing or who want a book like this that HYBE may not sell. When seeing a lawsuit come to headlines and all it says is HYBE is suing for copyright, it can look like they're just being greedy. However, it's very important for HYBE to do this and for other companies to take note that HYBE is doing this, so they would not sell BTS's face without permission. HYBE has no idea what could possibly be written in these books and the quality of these books. If it comes out that the book was done by workers who are not in good condition, if the book contains dust or harmful material to breathe in, or simply if there are hidden messages within the pages that makes BTS look bad. And if the mass public believes these books are coming from a legit source, this can all ruin the company and ruin BTS's image. Posts online being like, look at what HYBE sold. It makes me sick. So overall, I know it can appear like a money thing, but always get the product from the real source, or just make it yourself. The issue is when you try to sell it without permission. So be careful when buying these things. If you go to places like Koreatown or legit online stores, you'll see the product being sold for real, and that is where you should get them. For the most part that I have seen, HYBE has taken action on situations that would call for it. People often like to complain that HYBE doesn't do enough to protect the boys' image or just protect them in general, but they definitely try to do as much as they can in that regard. There was a situation that was quite scary a little while ago. It was reported that Jung Kook was being stalked, and it was believed that Jung Kook probably felt threatened. One of the last appearances that BTS did before the start of COVID was at the Golden Disc Awards. This is a very special end of the year award ceremony in Korea for idols, and any idol who is anybody is usually invited to go. It's to celebrate all the accomplishments that year, and it's a similar situation to the New Year's countdown we have here in the US. That type of energy, not so much the countdown thing. If you are interested in checking out reactions to award shows and BTS performances there, I do react to many BTS award show performances from the Fact Music Awards, the Grammys, and many other over on Patreon. We have a $1 tier that has spots open currently, and I would love to see you there, linked down below. Now, of course, BTS was invited to attend the Golden Disc Awards. There were some people who were believed to have snuck into the award ceremony. If you're curious on how they managed to do that, as you would probably think, it's more difficult, but not so much so. Award shows like the Grammys, Oscars, and whatever you can think of will have their celebrities, then they have a section for us normies to be at. The main purpose of our job is to be there to clap, cheer, and make the seats look full. We're called seat fillers, and anyone can sign up to be a seat filler, and sometimes you get paid to do it. This process is likely different in Korea, but I would imagine they have the same situation. So it's not as difficult as you would think to get into these ceremonies, as they very much require an audience to be there. It was believed believed that a notorious stalker had snuck in. And what these people will do is the entire time they are there, they will just record the one idol that they like. So for like an hour long or however long the ceremony is, you'll see this one idol's reaction to everything that is going on that night. Now, not everyone who you see this footage from is a stalker. They could just be people who signed up to be seat fillers, but I do think it's weird to be at one of these things but not pay attention to what's going on stage, but pay attention to who's in the crowd. But anywho, Jungkook noticed this particular alleged stalker that did get in that day, and you could see in one clip that the alleged stalker might have posted where Jungkook mouths her name. We don't know if Jungkook actually did mouth her name, but people who were reading his lips claim that he did. It's believed by the fandom that this particular person had followed Jungkook around everywhere, and this was not the first time he had seen her. People believe for the rest of the evening he had a bit of an annoyed face because he had to deal with her, and it's likely she was not physically going to hurt him, but this would mean that Jungkook was not going to be able to relax. He had to make sure he wasn't going to, let's say, show too much love when a female idol walks on stage, or it's a dating rumor. It was believed that Big Hit or HYBE had created a fan site blacklist and allegedly wrote down this specific fan's name. Now, of course, there are going to be fans that HYBE or any label would blacklist. I just don't know the legitimacy of this specific list, because the sites that do report on it are not crediting where they got the list from. It seems like the list just circulates on Stan Twitter and could literally just be written by an army who just happened to not like these fan sites. The narrative can always be twisted however they want, and I can also pop up a graph and be like, this is from HYBE. But regardless, I think this is an interesting story, and if real, then HYBE is doing the most to protect the boys, which is great. There was a more recent news of stalking that apparently came out. It was believed that in Busan there was this movie theater, and at the time Parasite was airing, Taeyang and Jungkook were believed to have entered the theater together to watch. This was reported by an alleged YouTuber who talked about it, and this went viral. Of course, it's a weird position to be in, because if you believe you did see the two go into the movie theater but did not take photos, then you're called a liar. But if you took photos, then you're a stalker and you invaded their privacy. However, since there's no photos, I will choose to believe this didn't happen. It probably is very unlikely that the two idols who are this famous would just walk into a movie theater, even late at night. Many people believe that the two wanted a more private moment for their date or whatever, and imagined what the two might have been doing on their date. But this is all speculation, and likely if the two did go on this movie date together, I would imagine they would have posted something about it, since it's such a cultural phenomenon, this movie Parasite. They made it pretty obvious when they had seen Squid Game. Now, on the flip side, it's totally possible that the two did go to the movies together, but the fact of the matter is it was a specific or a romantic situation we don't know. It's more annoying to me that oftentimes this is the evidence that people would have to throw hate. So it's interesting when these things go viral and people are talking about whether it's real or not, or if it's cute, and then suddenly Jimin will get a huge amount of death threats and people trying to kill him. And I've said this before, ships are fine. The majority of ships are fine. But it's those crazy people that are trying to attack the other members that make these stories very hard for me to read, because I know what's coming next. People also think that someone leaking or talking about the fact that the two idols were there is the same as invading their privacy and harassing them or hitting them. It's definitely not the same as physically hitting them. And even if people do talk about it, it doesn't physically hurt them. But if the two were going late at night to the movie theater, then the idea of them wanting to be private should be respected. But I am curious if any of you have read this story and believe that Taeyang and Jungkook were together to see this movie. What do you think about HYBE allegedly suing these non-legitimate companies selling BTS merch? And do you think they should? What do you think about Jungkook being scared during the Golden Disc Awards over an alleged stalker? Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks, this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.